Hi, guys. I am here today to talk to you about the RACE strategy. And that is a strategy that we use when we are answering short answer questions. And the letters R, A, C, E each stand for something, which we'll talk about. But we have to remember that when we are answering short answer questions, they should be answered in complete sentences and they should be answered fully and completely. So as I'm checking over your answers on your Common Lit and ReadWorks assignments, I'm noticing that some people are not answering the questions thoroughly, or they're just giving a few answers, or they're not writing complete sentences. So I thought it would be a good idea to just review this quickly with you so that you know what is expected on the short answer questions. So in the word race, the R stands for restate the question. So you're going to use words from the actual question in your answer. You're going to turn the question into a statement. So you might want to, if you're doing this on paper, you could highlight. If you're doing this on the computer, on the screen, you could just maybe write down what some of the key words are in the question that you're going to need to use in your answer statement. And we'll look at an example later on of that. The A stands for answer the question. Make sure you're actually answering the question that is being asked. I noticed that some people are, they're not answering the question. They may be putting information from the text, but they're not actually giving an answer to the question. So you have to make sure that the question that's being asked is being answered in your statement answer. The C stands for cite evidence from the text, and that means to give evidence from the text. So you're going to make sure that you use quotes or specific sentences or information from the text to support or back up your answer, sort of proving your answer. In other words, if somebody was to say to you, well, how do you know that? You would be giving them that evidence from the text. And the E in race stands for explain or elaborate. So you're going to explain why that text evidence supports your answer, and you're going to elaborate or expand, give more information on it to provide a more complete response. So once you cite your text evidence, you have to explain why that backs up your answer. Okay, you have to connect your answer with the text evidence, and that is the E in the race strategy. So here's a quick little paragraph that we're going to read, and then we're going to practice using the race strategy to answer a question about it. Okay, so this little story is called All About Emojis. Emojis were first invented in Japan in the 1990s. These days, most people use emojis. There are almost 2,000 of them. You can find an emoji for almost anything. They let people express ideas with pictures. They can be a lot of fun and a good way to show someone how you feel without using words. Also, they help people say what they mean with less effort, which is a good thing. Even young kids who don't know how to read yet can understand them. So that little story is about emojis. And the question, if we were to be asked a short answer question about this passage, it might be something like this. Does the author think emojis are good? Use evidence from the text to support your answer. Now, for this, we may have to go back into the story. We may have to reread parts of it. We may have to make little notes on a paper just so that we know what exact words we want to use. But I'm going to just take us out of there for just a second, and I'm going to try to type in this box. So if we're answering that question, does the author think emojis are good? The first thing we have to do is restate the question. We have to restate using the words from the question, does the author think emojis are good? And we also have to answer it. So I would say, based on the story, All About Emojis, I would say yes, the author does think that emojis are good. So the way that I would write that as a statement using words from the question would be something like this. Oops. The author thinks that emojis are good. And if I am thinking about the story, I remember that there were several reasons given. So I'll get into those in a minute, but I might want to add something like this. The author thinks that emojis are good for several reasons. So if you notice, I used words from the actual question, does the author think emojis are good? Yes, the author thinks that emojis are good. And I answered it. The author thinks that emojis are good for several reasons. And that gives the reader the idea that I'm going to explain or go more into detail. So if I go back to my story, one of the reasons, if I'm reading this, I could say, well, what would be some of the reasons that the author thinks that emojis are good? Well, first invented in Japan in the 1990s, that really doesn't tell us whether or not emojis are good. It just tells us when and where they were invented. These days, most people use emojis. Again, that doesn't really tell us that emojis are good. It just tells us that they're very widely used. There are almost 2,000 of them. That means there's a lot. It doesn't really tell us if the author thinks they're good. You can find an emoji for almost anything. Maybe that might be something we could use. But the next sentence, they let people express ideas with pictures. I think that is one reason why the author thinks that emojis are good. So if I go back to my answer, I might add something like this. First, the author states that emojis can help people express emotions with pictures. Let me go back to my story. Oops, I express ideas with pictures. So I want to change that. And see, I'm double checking my work as I go to make sure that I am using the correct words from the text. They can be a lot of fun and a good way to show someone how you feel without using words. So I think that is another positive or good thing that the author is giving about emojis. So I may say something like this. Also, the author says that emojis are fun. Fun meaning it's a good thing, if that's a positive. And let's see what else. A good way to show someone how you feel without using words. The author states that emojis are fun and are a good way to show someone how you feel without using words. So I've already given actually 3 reasons why the author thinks that emojis are good. I'll see if I can find one more just to kind of back up my answer, support my answer a little bit more. So the last sentences say, also, they help people say what they mean with less effort, which is a good thing. So right there, there's another reason why emojis are good, according to the author. According to the author, emojis help people. Let me go back again to check the way that that's worded. Okay. Say what they mean with less effort, which the author says is a good thing. The author definitely thinks that emojis are good for many reasons. And that's like my concluding sentence. So here would be a good, thorough answer to the question, does the author think emojis are good? Use evidence from the text to support your answer. The author thinks that emojis are good for several reasons. First, the author states that emojis can help people express ideas with pictures. Also, the author says that emojis are fun and are a good way to show someone how you feel without using words. According to the author, emojis help people say what they mean with less effort, which the author says is a good thing. The author definitely thinks that emojis are good for many reasons. And I'm just going to change this word "the" to this. Now, before I submit my answer, I just want to quickly go through and check that I have proper punctuation, capitals at the beginning of sentences, ending punctuation. I'm going to just do a quick scan. I don't see any words that are being flagged for spelling or grammar. So I think that would be a good complete answer to submit. So when you are answering short answer questions, please remember our race strategy so that you can make your answer complete and thorough and answer the question using text evidence. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you again soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.